Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to call the December 10th, 2025 meeting of the Police Records Management System Oversight Committee to order. And let's start with a roll call, please.
Berlin.
Here.
Dulowski.
Here.
Conroy.
Here.
Franz.
Here.
Homer. Martinovich.
Here.
McPherson.
Here.
Mendrick.
Here.
Patrick. Walter.
Yep.
Zerwin. Here. We have form.
All right, outstanding. On to the order of chairman's remarks. I was informed from Suzette Quintal, mayors and managers, that Peter Scalera is going to be resigning from the committee. So they are going to appoint somebody. And I think the timeline of that appointment will kind of depend on where we're at with the RFP process. I know we're going to talk about that later. I think it was, all it was a time issue. So I had that letter, make that part of the minutes. That's all I have in the nature of chairman's remarks. Do we have any public comment?
We do, it was emailed to members earlier this
I
week.
saw that, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be included in the minutes as well.
Got him. Got him already.
Outside of that,
Did you see it?
No other public.
no other public comment?
No.
Okay, I will, entertain a,
Jason's online.
oh, Jason's online.
He's on, it's on. He doesn't, no, he doesn't have to.
I was gonna say, he's not
Yeah, Evan's
represented.
here.
Okay.
Okay.
Abbott's here.
Then I'll entertain a motion, to approve the minutes.
So votes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. We'll move on to, discussion items.
Yeah,
Oh,
first.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The first action item is our schedule.
Right.
So it's. Second. We have motion and second. Any discussion? We do need a roll call on this, right? No? All right, we can do a voice vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, so a special call meeting will be October 1st.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That was the minutes.
That was the minutes.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm
The
sorry.
next one is the.
Okay, the next one is
That was
our
the
meeting
action.
schedule.
Yes.
So we're all good on that.
Everyone, we're good on that. All right. All right, let's move on to, item 7A. Which is, these are all discussion items.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we, do
Chair,
you want to combine them?
Yeah, if you don't mind, we can combine them and just knock them all out.
Okay, so all four of them, A, B, C, and D?
Yeah.
All right, let's combine them all and, so we can start having our discussion on where we're at.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm gonna hand 7A, 7B, and D over to, Don Aaron Half, who's closer to the process. He'll start out by giving us an update on where we are with the upgrade.
Thank you, Charlotte. Since the last meeting, we, on the MFR and OCR-10 upgrade, we did have some additional testing that showed progress. Hexagon's put some effort into it. So a lot of our functionality issues that we talked about last time were resolved. We still have quite a few configuration issues that we're dealing with, and they are working with us on those things, but it's obviously not as fast as we'd like. They've updated their methodology to be a little bit more agile and give us sort of a faster cycle of fixes. That's been working for the past few weeks. But the bottom line that we've seen, that we've really all observed, is that the MFR product doesn't appear to be ready. And based on that, we don't have that agreed upon timeline for go live. And my recommendation, I believe our recommendation would be for us to allow Hexagon to continue to improve the product and help, give them what they need to do our configurations, but to not proceed with any milestone items until we know what the outcome of the RFP is gonna be. Because ultimately, as soon as we reach another milestone, we incur more cost. And if we don't choose to go with Hexagon as a consortium, then that's just wasted money.
So two points, two follow-ups to what Don just mentioned. Number one, Hexagon is pushing the team to complete the upgrade as quickly as possible. We are pushing back on that. So we hope the committee is okay with that. We are not comfortable. They absolutely helped resolve some initial issues in September. They sent a team of experts to resolve those issues, but then we ran into more design issues. During those conversations, we've also discovered that there still aren't any other agencies on the newest versions of these applications. That worries me, right? So if we become the first, then typically we become the guinea pigs to figure out how to resolve issues for all other agencies. So it is my and Don's recommendation that we don't push to complete it for those reasons, and those are very valid reasons. One, outstanding design issues. Number two, because we are scheduled to be the first agency to go live on the upgrades. There were, I think, at least one agency that was supposed to go prior to us. They have extended their implementation timeline as well, right? So it's between us. The second issue has to do with the RFP, which Don will give a detailed update on in a second. But the thought is that we really need to figure out what our direction is. And as Don stated, doesn't make sense to not only spend the additional money on milestones for the upgrade, but doesn't make sense to do that, but also to force users to learn a new system. And then in a year from now, year and a half from now, they'll have to learn another system, right? That's a lot to ask of our users to say, hey, we're going to train you on this new upgrade, which is very different from our existing solution. But in a year from now or so, we're going to ask you to do the same thing. So we really need to get better direction from the evaluation committee in terms of what direction they're heading in. But I think before we make the final decision and schedule a go live, if that's what the committee wants to do.
And I will add an additional note to that. I know in the past when we had talked about this question had come up of whether or not to move forward, given the delays. And I know I had, and we had kind of pushed that there are improvements in the new product, issues that we've been dealing with for a while. After we had our last sort of failed testing, I went back to Hexagon and discussed upgrading our current version. We're several updates behind because we had such a problematic upgrade process in the past. And so we were delaying those. So we've got almost 3 years worth of upgrades that we can install. They have a stable version right now. We're testing that internally right now so that the plan is, regardless of what happens with this project, we'll be upgrading to a current stable version of the current application. And that should resolve a good deal of our usability problems that we have right now. So it makes this version of the product a lot more sustainable over the remainder of the contract, whether we decide to move forward with Hexagon or not, or whether the RFP moves forward with Hexagon or not.
So that was the question I have. Are we satisfied that what we have now is sustainable through the end of the contract?
I believe the main on-call records product is. FBR is the report writing application, which is its end of life. They will not be updating that unless we have critical errors. So that's something that unfortunately we'll have to hobble along with for a little while. But the main records application is much improved in the new version. The new updated current version, I should say.
Please.
Just in terms of contract negotiations, which are probably going to get a little more complicated. There's some significant savings then by not going to the version, kind of freezing that process.
We've currently already passed 2 milestones, so there's some cost incurred already. But the remainder of that project is $177,000 that could be saved if that's not the solution selected.
I think the key thing is not having folks go through a whole nother learning process and then ask them to do it again when we decide on the RFP. So I think that's, should be taken into consideration, certainly.
And I can say that as much time as I've spent with the MFR product in the last year, I don't see it being deployable before there's a decision on the RFP.
All right, so.
I mean, we're 2 months out essentially. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. I don't think you're gonna get any pushback from the communities on the line of thinking you're putting in here. We had a 3-minute line of discussion at the managers committee the other day, and the same basic question came up, which is how much work do we do now prior to more work occurring tomorrow? And I think this is, what I'm hearing is actually encouraging that we're taking steps to limit our today investment to make sure our tomorrow investment pays off. So it's not a hexagon yay or nay. It's more just let's say if we could save money, time and aggravation for all parties before we do this once and right, whatever that looks like. I certainly don't think you're gonna get a lot of, if any, pushback. I think actually it's a very wise and prudent decision on your parts. So I'm fully supportive of the direction you're proposing.
Sounds like we kind of have a consensus to move in that direction. Sure. Yeah, so RFP, update.
Sorry, Madam Chair, before you,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Yes.
Right, Mr. Chair, are there other things that we can negotiate with them in terms of them not meeting the contract? I mean, this has not been well executed by them. I just think we should hold them accountable to every penny we can get back.
Not really. So it's milestone based. So, you know, if we don't move forward, we don't pay those milestones. That's essentially the only real leverage that we have. What I've found though with Hexagon leadership, they are pretty flexible. So if we want to bring them back to the table to have more conversations, I think they would be open to the idea. But I think holding off on moving forward with the upgrade project and then as a result, not paying those milestones will save us quite a bit.
Well, what is the total cost of the NFR upgrade?
It's the remainder is 137,000.
Or what was it in total?
Sure.
Budget that is about 74.
I just can't remember, it's $1 billion.
No, oh no. This project was 266,000.
Okay, I just wanted, I couldn't remember the ballpark, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? RFP? Yes.
We're currently reviewing proposals, the evaluation team. We had 6 viable proposals there. It's a lot of reading. And so we broke it up into essentially 2 legs where we evaluate, you know, the vendors on a couple of elements. And then we actually met on the 24th of November to talk about the first portion. It was a productive meeting. We have some sort of rankings in terms of those particular areas. And our next meeting is next Tuesday, where we'll discuss the remaining areas of the proposals. Following that, we'll have a couple days to score and sort of deliberate, and then we'll be producing a short list. And the next step is scheduling demos. Those demos we intend to be open to as many users as possible. We expect a short list of about 3 vendors. It could be 2, it could be 4, but it's going to depend on who gets, you know, who eliminates themselves or doesn't in the remaining review of the RFP. We are still on track for the recommendation in February.
Member Walter.
Good question. Can we have email to us just we'll call it as detailed as possible timeline? I'm sure we'll get these questions just in our conversations going. We want to be responsive to them, so they don't. Because I just forget, so it's more of a reminder that I think for me that would be very helpful.
We can do so.
Thank you.
When do you expect the demos to take place approximately?
It should be, yes, over the next month or so to 6 weeks. We're going to try to get them as efficiently as possible.
Okay, and I'm sorry,
And who's doing the demoing? Sorry.
It would be the remaining vendors.
I'm sorry. Who
The short list.
are the users of the demo?
Well, it would be our evaluation team.
Okay,
But
so
we have a-
that's-
we have a much larger group that volunteer. The
Right.
evaluation team is a massive time. We only needed a handful of people, but we have dozens of sort of power users that the demos will be focused on. But we intend to open it up to as many users as can stop by. Because we really
That's more
want.
of they're on site, the vendor, come look at our product.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in that environment, demo is a demo, I guess, versus pushing it out, right? And, yeah, okay. So I was just kind of curious
Well,
what
it's gonna
demo
be-
meant to you.
It's a controlled environment where they'll be able to come, sit down, use the product, ask questions, get answers, and then actually score based on that experience.
Okay, so that's being used then as part of the evaluation process and scoring.
We want it to be as controlled as possible because we want to answer questions and make sure that they are comfortable with the products before for the final scoring.
Right, so.
Let's have one more
Member
question.
Prince.
How are we going to evaluate the integration into our respective systems? I mean, that's gotta be one of the criteria, right? Are we confident that the 2 or 3, 4 vendors, wherever we pull in, they're all able to meet that goal of having an integrated system?
That was actually one of the criteria for the proposal. They had to propose a compliant way to integrate with our systems.
That's not part of the demo. We already got that covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
All,
you could, I was just saying, that's not something that you can evaluate, right?
Right,
So as
right.
far as the process, you just have to answer the questions that, A, you can integrate, and B, the method of integration. And we need to evaluate it and make sure that it's a sound, technically sound solution, that's all.
Okay.
You can't really demo that, so that takes time. That's
Maybe
one of
you got lists of folks where they've done this previously successfully? Okay.
all required functions were outlined in the RFP.
Okay.
The demos are really for, hands-on keyboards.
Right.
For users.
You-
We
you-
want look and feel approval from as many users as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Member Walton.
Thank you. Kind of a question, I'm being educated here. This is the RMS side, and Hexagon still owns the CAD side. We are not replacing the CAD.
That's correct.
That's what's going
So that's more okay, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
So we'll cover that at the appropriate juncture of our meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, CAD and other applications that are connected to our.
I came up
This is
with
all
it
of,
too.
this is RMS specifically.
Linda, any concerns that you've seen? I'm being a bit involved in that.
I haven't been involved in any of the process, so I'm sure the criteria, I mean, I trust DeltaWorks and I trust the county IT team in terms of scope of work, so it would become an interface like the other 26 interfaces that come off of CAD. So wouldn't be sharing any hardware or anything like that. That would be the difference.
Other questions, comments?
I've got one more.
Please.
Okay, so I'm saying this is gonna segue into our next topic, I guess, too, but we've got some members that have already made a decision. I try to formulate this question. If we pick a vendor that's not being used by those, are we trying to at least ask the question if those two systems can be integrated so that all of DuPage County can share the same information, which was one of the goals why we set this up in the first place?
Are you,
That's kind of a question in there, Anthony. You gotta weed through my words to find that question.
If not.
I think the answer is unofficially, we are assessing
Okay.
whether that is something that we need to consider long-term. We're hoping to keep the consortium together, right? So we're hoping that whatever they select, the remaining 31 agencies will be aboard, but if they're not, and some decide to leave and go with the current applications, I think that's what you're asking, that's being
Right.
used by the others. We have to decide long-term how
that works.
how that works together and how we pull together that data. We don't want to lose their ability to share data and, and use that for law enforcement. So we have talked about it unofficially. It's not part of our process, right? So, but we have talked about it and we're thinking about it. One of the things that Don and I talked about, which I hope you guys will appreciate, is that no matter what happens moving forward, we are committed to coming up with a long-term strategy that works for the entire county, right? All the agencies. In, is it June of, I think it's June of 27, right? Yeah, June 2027, we have the ability to reset completely, and our goal is to do that
Yeah.
with the agreement and what needs to go into the agreement, but also with whatever tool is selected. If it's an Hexagon product or if it's a new product, our goal is to fix all of the issues from the past and ensure that whatever we pick works well for the rest of the consortium. So we're talking about that. I mean, long-term strategy is to improve everything overall.
That's a good point. So probably next year, mid-year next year, we gotta start talking about what that's gonna look like and get some feedback from everybody. That's all.
I think we're gonna start talking about it after we make the selection.
Okay.
So,
Good. That's a good point.
because it's gonna take some time for us to work through the details, but the goal is to make the selection, and then there's a lot of question marks right now that we don't have answers to, but once we get those answers, we can move forward with the long-term strategy. We want to present a long-term strategy to the committee.
And we've learned something over the last 5 years, 6 years.
Learned a
8 years,
lot,
whatever it's been.
learned a great deal.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to move on to the consortium membership departure update?
Sure. So for 7C, we wanted to do here is do two things. One, let the committee know that we have officially heard from the two agencies that have communicated to us that they wanted to leave. So we received official communication of their intent to leave. And as a result, and that's Downers Grove and Oak Brook, for those who don't remember. But we've also issued exit agreements. We updated the exit agreement and we provide them with their own versions of the exit agreement. Downers Grove acknowledged receipt of it. We haven't heard back officially from Oak Brook, so we hope at some point we will. There's some language, a lot of the same language that you guys remember from the Addison contract is in there, but there is a new term clause in the contract that basically reinforces their commitment to covering costs from now until June of 2027 for Hexagon. So we wanted you to be aware of that. We'll see their response, but there is a little more, some stronger language in the agreement now to cover that. So
We do the same thing on ETSB. If there's costs of interface, those get picked up by the end user, right? We did it as, am I remembering that correctly?
So there's one interface with Axon, and so everybody feeds off of that if they want to share the cost.
Everything else.
Yeah. It would be like Fusus or any other integration. The challenge is who pays for it first and how that works out.
Didn't know that. Okay.
You do have a question though.
Yes.
Bartlett was not part of the original consortium because they were on their own RMS. Have we reached out to them to ask them if they're interested in joining? Or might be based on what you select?
I'm glad you said that. I wasn't aware of that. I think it is a good opportunity to do that.
I mean, they might say no because they've been on their own for some time, but it should be extended to everybody.
Thank you.
Maybe.
I did realize.
You can try. We tried last time, but I don't know what they're using now, so.
Probably with a phone call.
It is. So thank you. We'll do that.
I can call the chief.
Okay.
Yep. Chief.
May I, so this is not directly related, but I think it's good information that I want to share. So the city of Aurora wasn't part of our consortium, was trying to actually convince them to come aboard. They actually went out to RFP and they selected Mark 43. So they made a selection of a new product. And what's interesting is about that, it's Mark 43 and not Axon. They also evaluated Axon.
Was Mar one of our vendors?
They did submit a proposal, yes.
Huh. Interesting.
Just think that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. So They originally released a press release about it, so I'm not sure if you all had a chance to read.
What did Rory use before Mar, do you know?
Hexagon. They had their own instance of Hexagon product. I don't know the history behind it. Maybe Linda does about why they weren't.
Its own hand.
Is it a long one?
Let's speak about somebody else's system.
No.
I do know that it's an older version than what we were on, different platform. I don't know if they ever moved to 9.4 or to on-call, but I don't have all the details there.
Yeah, I just talked to the former CIO about it, and it appeared he was interested in potentially being a part of RFP, but they decided to issue their own, and they selected Markwood.
Fundamental.
Yeah, just an update to the PRMS funding model.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
So this item is really about creating a new accounting company for PRMS. I'm sure a lot of you remember in early 2024, we talked about a self-sustaining funding model for PRMS that allowed essentially, rather than borrowing from ETSB and the county general fund every year,
No, sorry.
that the operating funds come from the balance of equipment replacement fund, which at this point is substantial enough to sustain operations on its own. At the time, we needed to do a phased offload where we would go year by year and kind of borrow less. And so,
Yeah, sorry, but
no, it's fine. Oh, yeah.
I had two, I picked the wrong ones. Is that the right one?
It is not. Guys, I am in these, I'm not in the Zoom meeting right now. I can join.
Okay.
If you give me just a moment, there's a very difficult to read chart that I have to show you.
This is the right one.
It's got a yellow banner at the top. It's the PDF I sent you in Teams earlier today.
Yeah, sorry, I have it. Sorry, Don sends me a lot of stuff, so.
I did.
I apologize for that. All right.
Thank you very much. Sure. So I tried to make this as tight as possible, so it was readable on the screen, and it's not really, but I'll do my best. So there's a couple of assumptions made here. The total user count, I just basically, what we have today, I just assume that we'll continue with the same user count because you can't really account for fluctuations in that. The equipment replacement funds, maybe 2 years ago, we added an annual increase of 2.5% because we weren't going to meet our goal. As the goal has always been 3 million at the end of essentially the agreement. And so there's an annual increase in that. That's another assumption. There's also an assumption that our operating costs, which would be our contractual like maintenance and things like that, that it's going to be $675,000 a year after the end of our Hexagon contract. That's it's a slightly elevated estimate from what we've seen in the past, but normally we see increases year over year. So I put in a little padding and just kind of kept that number constant for the model. The two objectives that we have here that are just constant through this model is that we do want to hit that 3 million at the end of the agreement for the equipment replacement fund so that we can do this all over again. And also that we want to keep the per user cost as low and as flat as possible. We don't want to blow up these costs for agencies because, we understand everybody's got to, make cuts here and there. So if you look at the top left, the estimated project cost, this is where it's a variable. We don't know. So this is going to be determined by the RFP. 2.4 million is basically the median that we could expect for a project like this. It could be significantly lower. It could be almost double that. But this is kind of where we expect to land. It's 2.4 million. So this model is based on the assumption that we'll land right in the middle. And that creates a bit of a bump in the road. If you see in years FY 26 and 27, I've split the project costs between both years. And that would put us at an operating deficit for a couple of years, which is not what we want to do. So there would need to be an additional infusion of funds. Essentially, we would need to borrow funds from the county in either FY 26 or FY 27, which we would then pay back in 28 and 29. We would still remain solvent, but we would need that little bump in the beginning. And that is, again, assuming that the project costs 2.4 million. If it's any less than that, then this is a better picture. If it's more than that, then we have a slightly different conversation to have. But we have discussed this, and the county is willing to backstop this. It's not an excessive amount, and we have the ability to pay it back. So this model allows PRMS to fund itself. I won't say indefinitely, but at least until FY 32 without any issues. And we still meet our criteria of keeping costs flat and having a $3 million reserve.
Yes.
What's the magic of a $3 million reserve versus something else?
That's what the IGA was originally.
Okay.
That's what the IGA originally included. If you look, the project cost of 2.4 million. I think that 3 million was a pretty smart number to hit back in the day.
That's
when they came up with that, because it's pretty much on target for what it's going to cost to replace the system. Granted, in 5-6 years, it may be a little bit more. And as we move forward, these are not necessarily set in stone targets, and there are ways to bump that up if needed.
Or conversely, if we stay with the same product, it's just an upgrade, it saves us some money, then we have more money in the bank and we have another conversation.
Yes.
This is helpful.
And I'd like to add, as Don mentioned, we had conversations with Jeff, our CFO, and our Chief Administrative Officer, and kind of went through the funding challenges. And we got a commitment from both Jeff and from Nick Ottmeyer that the county would help cover some of those costs temporarily, right? Until we.
Yeah, it's doable as long as our fiscal year doesn't end in the negative. I don't foresee that happening, so.
Well, appreciate that because we had some tough conversations there where we weren't sure how we're gonna get out of that kind of cash flow issue. So this is really helpful.
We built it up to be able to offset that now.
That's
Because
good.
the fund, PRMS is maturing now, so.
And hopefully this is a one-time thing and now we've got, again, big variables, what this is gonna actually cost us, but at least now we've got a game.
Yeah.
Or comments, questions?
When, I'm sorry,
Yeah, no.
when do we need to get away again from ETSB and the funding
Sorry, this year.
this year? Yeah.
Well, this fiscal year. Is that correct?
I think it was a statutory issue.
Yeah.
Well, the account, you said the account would be actually set up like after the first of the year, right?
We're gonna start working on it, yeah. So as soon as we do that, then we can move it.
Oh, the funds are kind of commingled. Can't remember this part of it now.
Yeah.
If I may for a second on that one, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Yeah, there's a new FCC guideline. Linda, you can correct me if I think I'm wrong. There's some new guidelines into how the 911 funds are used, and our PRMS money is within that account. So it's just cleaner to take that out as well as ensure none of it is commingled. So we're just ensuring that everything's in the appropriate accounting perspective.
Thank you for that. Any other?
If I may add.
Yeah, please.
On that, assuming that we have a little bit of flexibility in time getting away from the general fund, we could conceivably in FY 26 completely detach from ETSB without any issue. There wouldn't even be an operating deficit if we did that. Even if the project is needed. So that
Wait,
that
say that
risk.
one more time, I'm sorry.
So when I presented this in early 2024, this was done as essentially we phased out our ETSB borrowing first. And then we took an extra 2 years to phase out our county borrowing. We've had another 2 fiscal years to build up the replacement fund.
Yeah.
And so we don't need to phase it, but with the project cost, that's where we run into this issue. So the point that I was making is, as Jason pointed out, if there's a statutory reason that we need to not use ETSB funds, we can do that today and not worry about it. I guess what I'm saying is if it takes some time to create that new accounting company, we could still directly fund our personnel portion, which is what we borrow from ETSB normally, without any issues.
That was really the whole point of having 3 million so that you could fund your own capital costs. And then the goal here would be that ETSB continues to front the Hexagon maintenance cost and then you do the reimbursement till the end of that contract. And then if you pick a different vendor, you're on your own and we can't really facilitate police records management. That's not an allowable cost. So the goal when this all started was to make you sustainable to your own costs. And then it was never intended to be in the same company, which is all finance speak for how we do business at the county. So it's creating your own county company with your funds and moving your funds there.
Makes sense.
Kind of a paper shuffleboard, really.
Now it's gonna be 2 different vendors for CAD and for us, that's gonna simplify it too.
Well, and if you
Okay.
pick something that's not Hexagon and we're together because it was one master contract. If you select a different vendor, ETSB can't front that money because it's not part of one shared system. So that's the other reason to be sustainable on your own.
Good. Other questions, comments?
This is kind of unrelated, Linda, but when's the CAD contract run through now? Do we have a new contract with the CAD?
27, same as RMS.
And
It's
then the
their
same decision will be made
coterminous.
there,
I'm sorry?
whether, same decision will be made there, whether to upgrade it within CAD or do it, well, we're not gonna do an RFP, so we are gonna stick with them apparently, right?
So at the last ETS board meeting, when you voted to not do RFP, Delta Works gave you the same, so you went through phase 1, ETSB went through phase 1 of the assessment process, similar to what Delta Works was doing with RMS. And at that point, there wasn't a strong feeling to go forward with a new CAD system. So they're giving us that same price or they'll hold that contract for phase 2 and 3. We will revisit it next year because if you, meaning the board and the PSEFs want to look at something else, it'll take us 3 years to configure a new system. Because there's, we just basically finished the last integrations a year and a half ago. So it'll take some time. So more likely than not, even if you go to RFP, you would have to renew with Hexagon at least once or twice, and then it would be whether or not we do hardware.
Okay, yeah. Just trying to think through this process.
So that's funded in that 54,199 equipment or the capital contingency fund.
Thank you.
Anything else on that issue? Anybody have old business, any old business? New business? Anyone looking for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our meeting's adjourned.